So hello everybody. Well, I just had my second CNA test, so I will try to make this quick. I'm actually here at the school, and once again, I'm going to just drive real quick. Of course, that's probably not the best way to get this done quick. Anyways, second test, 75 questions, just like before, and I got 81%, which I think I had, oh gosh, yeah, I get 81%, so 19%. Actually, my brain does not want to seem to remember how many that means I got right. Anyways, point is, I think I got 15 wrong. So, point is, what that means is, it really freaked me out. And matter of fact, I was a little bit confused on one question because it seems like everything I got wrong was all kind of best of questions. It wasn't one of those things where any of the other questions were wrong. It was one of those situations where it's just like, oh, what's the best thing to do first? Which, honestly, the ones that were, I think, out of all the 15, most of them were best of. And a couple of them I got wrong were, what do you do first? Okay, fine, I understand that. So, like, the ones that, some of them I got right were ones like, when, that's close. I hate that when the light just barely changes in stopping distance. It's kind of like one of those questions where it's like, like I was keeping very watchful for the one that's being like, somebody shows some sort of an emergency problem. What do you do first? And the answer I selected was, well, get the nurse. Let the nurse know. But then there was other ones where it was like the nurse wasn't the first answer, and like I did get one wrong that I was a little surprised about. It said something about you're cleaning the hair of a person who wears a hearing aid. It's like, what would you do first? I'm pretty sure I selected the answer that said I would remove the hearing aid. It said you're doing hair care, and I answered the one that said I would remove the hearing aid. And mind you, there was none on there that actually said explain to the person what you're going to do. Matter of fact, if that was on there, I'm pretty sure that's the one I selected. Anyways, well, apparently the correct answer was wash the person's hair first. I'm like, huh? I'm like, you don't want to get the hearing aid wet. That's where my critical intelligence was thinking. And, so then anyways, I sat there and made a little bit of a complaint about one of them that, where I was really confused on it. It was question 55, where it said, what is the best way to help prevent pressure ulcers on someone who is immobile? And really, honestly, all four of them were great answers. The correct answer was, keep a person who's incontinent clean and dry. But I selected the one that said reposition. I selected the one that said reposition. No, actually, the question didn't even say immobile, but it said reposition someone who's immobile whenever they ask. And apparently, nope, that's wrong. And that's upsetting and then apparently our instructor came up and, of course, in her bit of a stern voice, she sat there and said to me, she was like, she said, well, no, you need to keep it incontinent. She's like, it's quoted right out of our book and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, they're trying to get you to do critical thinking. And of course I said to her, I said, well, I'm a very three-dimensional thinker. I can't think right on flat two-dimensional space. And it's been a slow process for me to get better at two-dimensional thinking. But I'm like, so she's sitting there trying to be like, oh, they're trying to get you to do critical thinking. I'm like, I don't think you know what critical thinking means. Because I know exactly what critical thinking is. And critical thinking is, like, for example, the hair, where it's like, oh, I made sure You know, I'm going to remove the hearing aid so it doesn't get wet versus, oh, I'm just going to clean the hair first. Like, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused. Where does this fall in line with the workbook? Anyways, I'm not going to keep going on that. I am a little bugged about that, you know. And when I told her, she's like, oh, it's quoted. It's standard questions right out of the state exam and blah, blah, blah. And then I was kind of like, well, that still doesn't make them right. And I'm like, I'm still trying to say, what I'm trying to say, though, is I'm usually the kind of person who fails at tests because I am a very intelligent, forward-thinking, three-dimensional thinker. You need to give me clear definitions. You can't jump around, play with the issue. I think best in especially even live scenarios, which that's why I'm actually a little glad I found out earlier this week that part of our state exam is going to have actual live demonstrations where we demonstrate the information, not just do a test. So anyways, I'm going to end this here and basically just say, oh, and then her response was, well, but you passed. And I'm like, yeah, just barely. And she's like, well, that's better than what most people are doing. I'm like, yeah, but it's still got an 81%. That's just barely to me. And I mean, that's fine. Whatever. As long as I keep this up. That's two. Apparently there's 4 total tests. Then the 5th one is the state exam. That's fine. But it was seriously one of those things where I'm just like, a little bit like, okay, I hate it when people get to that point. Where they're just kind of like, but you passed, it's better. And I mean, there was 3 of us, and one of them failed. I overheard her fail and had to reschedule an oral exam. So, anyways, fun. I guess I am doing better than most people, but at the same time, I'm like, but that's, it's kind of like that movie Idiocracy, where I'm a very intelligent person who's not performing very well just because of the way things are done. But then you're going to sit there and tell me, well, you passed. And I'm like, just barely. And they're like, well, no, that's fine. I'm like, no, I don't, that's unacceptable to me. It's like Idiocracy, you know, Joe not sure, you know, just barely was, you know, average of intelligence, doing just barely, but because everybody in the world was so stupid, he basically was out to being the smartest person in the world. So that's kind of the comparison, where it's like, I'm not doing good enough, and then you're going to tell me, oh, it's just fine, because you're doing better than everyone else. It's like, it's not how it should work. Education system, you're so messed up. Anyways, I will talk to everyone later in the future. Hope you're doing well. And I got class on Wednesday. I got to do some school tonight and tomorrow. Still a little bit of a fun day. Anyways, see y'all later. Have a good afternoon. Bye now.